Yes, welcome to the channel. Mr. Play Color right here, and I'm really excited. It's another day that God has given us to celebrate and be happy and learn one thing, you know. Yeah, so I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this live broadcast. Now, I understand that most of our friends will be joining us, along the way. Yeah, but I just want to welcome you today. Now, today is pretty exciting because this, in fact, is the very first live broadcast we are doing this year. I thought we could do this much earlier, but it is what it is. But I'm grateful that we are finally here, and hopefully we can pick something from today. We can learn something. We can share, something from this broadcast. So I will reintroduce myself. My name is Benjamin David Cheyune. I'm a Ugandan photographer based here in Kampala. Yeah, I've been doing photography for um, I would say about 10 years now, but commercially it's about four years. The 10 years include my time in art school trying to learn, get started with the whole journey. But yeah, commercially, about 4 years now. So I think I'm gonna buy a little bit of time. Uh, I'll give us a minute or two for people to come on board, and then we'll go ahead to dive into the topic of the day. So if you get on board, please say hello. I would like to hear from you. You can send a message, let me know where you're watching from. That would really uh, keep us, in a good mood. Yeah, so let's give this 1 or 2 minutes and we will get started. Yeah, so in the meantime, you could tell us, a little bit of your experience, how long you've done photography for. I would like to hear from you guys, and I would like to know. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what's on your mind. Considering the photography world. There's so much going on, honestly, in the photography world. But yeah, I mean, we can only navigate one thing at a time. Okay, I am waiting on you guys. I'm waiting on you guys. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm just going to dive straight into the topic of the day without further ado. Just so you know, if you just joined us, these broadcasts will be happening every 2 weeks. Yeah, every 2 weeks we will see if we can make this frequency every week. But as of now, we will be doing them every 2 weeks, or what they call a fortnight. Yeah, 14 days. So our topic of the day is shooting a wedding day. Shooting a wedding day. Yeah. Yes, that is the topic of the day, and I just want to open my heart and express myself on this topic really well. So if you are tuned in and you are following, kindly get yourself a notebook somewhere, or if you can record. Yeah, these are some of the things which might really come through for you. as you prepare your wedding, to shoot a wedding day. And this covers whether you're a photographer or you're a filmmaker or you do both, you know. So we just want to have an in-depth conversation on this matter of shooting a wedding day. Right. I think this is how we are going to do this. In the later section, please feel free to send in your questions as they arrive. I'll try to respond to your questions, in due time. I'll try to respond to your questions as soon as they come in. But in any case, if you are watching this live stream or this broadcast much later, feel free to still send your question in the comment section, and I'll be sure to respond to you. Yeah, I'm glad to see that we have some members that have just joined in. I'm really glad to have you. Please feel free to share your name. I would like to know where you're watching from. Yeah, please feel free to share your name and where you're watching from. I will be glad to hear from you. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. The topic again is preparation and shooting a wedding day. Now, a wedding day has a lot involved. A wedding day has so much going on, and a wedding day to any client, yeah, I would say the bride and groom, that is pretty much one of the best days that will ever be in their life. Yeah, a wedding day is such a crucial day to the couple, to their family, to everyone involved, on the client side. Yeah, and to the photographer, a wedding day is a blend of all kind of things. It can have from fashion to detail like macro photography. It can have documentary photography, journalism. It's got just a blend of all these things because a wedding day has all kind of, so it's such a day that we cannot take for granted, like the side of a photographer or a filmmaker. A wedding day is a day you want to take seriously. It's a day you want to give your utmost dedication, yeah, in terms of preparation, in terms of execution, and later on post-production. Yeah, because they are basically those three levels in what we do. There's pre-production, which is the preparation phase. There's production, which is when you are in the field, shooting, and then there's post-production. That is after that is when you go back to the studio or to the office to produce and edit the content. So yeah, I just put down here a few things, a few pointers which I would like for us to discuss. I am seeing someone has joined in. Please, I am glad to see you. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the channel. Kindly share your name and where you're watching from. I will be glad to hear from you. I'll be glad to hear from you. So feel free to send in your questions in due time. When you get any questions, please feel free. And in case you want to follow through from the top, you can simply dial back to watch from where this broadcast started. But you don't have to do that right now because we are just on course. Okay, so some of the things that, in my experience, I feel any photographer, and this goes out to mostly those who are just getting started. There are key things which I believe you must consider when you are preparing for your wedding day, if you're going to shoot a wedding. So the very first thing here for me would be communication. And I want to talk about communication in two forms. So there's communication between you, the service provider, you, the photographer, and the client. Communication between you and the client. So let me give you a typical scenario. So a client communicates to you. They tell you, you know what, I want you to be the photographer for my wedding day. I want you to do the coverage. I want you to do the photos and everything. So you must establish good communication from the start. Yeah. You need to be that kind of photographer a client is benching on, that they are trusting you and they are not going to have any worries, in terms of what you're going to deliver. So it means your communication should be spot on from the very start, So of course, you're going to communicate in terms of negotiating the deal, the rates, and also understanding what the client expects from you. So usually for me, I am very, very eager to understand what the client is expected of me, because that really helps me. Danny, thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you on board. And Simon, thank you for tuning in as well. I'm glad to have you on board. Simon is watching from Gulu. Yes. Thank you, Simon. I'm glad to have you. Right, let's proceed. So, from the word go, I want to know what my client is expecting of me. Some clients would say, I have these quite sentimental, things which I would like for you to cover. Maybe they have some portraits from their family. There's something that it could be anything that this couple wants you to cover. It could be the bride side or the groom side. Please take note of those things, because those are the things which will make more meaning to your client. Yeah. So that means your communication needs to be well established. I don't want to take so long on that matter of communication, but it can be a deal breaker. For I am seeing WorkTube. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Yes. So communication can be a deal breaker. If your communication is poor, if your communication is unstable, if your communication is not good, you're basically going to have issues with your clients. And if you get any issues with your clients from the word go, that is not a very good experience for you. I can promise you that is not a very good experience for you. So it's very important that you establish good communication. For me, good communication, just as I close on this matter of communication, is you understanding what the client needs, is you prompting the client. Sometimes you have to prompt the client. And guys, here we are talking about before the wedding day. This is you trying to liaise with the client, understanding, okay, the locations, all that. This is very important. And by the way, if you're just getting started in this photography journey, these become very crucial things for you to consider. Like, you can't take them for granted. Otherwise, the wedding day will be a mess for you. I promise. So, the other segment of communication, because the first one is with a client, The other segment of communication is with your team. Yeah. So let's take a typical example. A client has communicated to you, they've told you, you know what, I have a wedding coming up in maybe in 2 weeks' time. Let me tell you, even if they tell you a month's time, the moment you know of a wedding day, if the moment they give you a date, that is the time you need to prepare your team. Of course, it can sound like maybe if you're booked in like 2 months, it might sound like, I have enough time. I will come up with a team or something. Let me tell you, unless you're just going to find any random guys who do not know what they are doing, but most guys, you have to book them early, especially if you don't have your own team that you have built. If you're working with freelancers, if you're working with, mercenaries, that kind of thing, you need to book them early, and preferably with some money if possible. Yeah. So the communication has to be top notch again with your team. So a typical example for me is when I know about a wedding date. Let's say that the wedding is 3 weeks away. I'm going to make calls, find out from my fellas, from my friends that I work with, or the freelance guys who might be available. I make necessary calls. If someone is not available, I'll try to reach out to another, like that. And then I make sure that I have my team. So my team, it depends on maybe the package the client is paying for, but my team usually can have about four to even 7. A team of 4. Yeah. For me, a team of 4 is like the basic. That is the starting point. Usually, there's a photographer. It can have an assistant on that team, and maybe 2 videographers, yeah, or cinematographers. So we are a team of 4 people. That is like on the basic end. Sometimes that team is beefed up depending on the client's needs, or the package, and so it means if you have a team of, let's say, 5 people, you need to plan well. So communication there goes into play. So communication with those people must be well established, and you must have a green light from all those guys that, you know what, I'm going to be available on this day. And in any case that someone is not going to be able to be available on a particular day, on that day that you're booking them for, then they should let you know on time. They should let you know in advance, so that you can have a backup person. You can swap. You understand? So I feel like this is a no-brainer, but some people are caught off guard many times. They take it for granted. You know what? I have all the time in the world. I will definitely, find someone, and you end up just finding a random person, and it really affects the production quality at the end of it. Yeah. So communication for me is the very, very first thing that I have to put on table every time I have to prepare for a wedding. Like it right now, it's second nature for me. Yeah, I have to be in touch with the client and also in touch with my team. So I would like to conclude the matter of communication like that. Yeah, I'm seeing someone, WorkTube is asking about battery backup in Canon R8. Okay, I think I'll be responding to that later in the video. Just keep tuned in. I'll respond to that. Yes. You guys, you need to have your notebook around it. So you note some of these things because yeah, you might not hear them again in a long time. All right, so let's go to the next thing. The next thing for me would be uh, gear. So let's talk about gear. Now, also for gear, I'm just going to bring it in two formats. The first one is you need to check, to check with yourself, do you have the necessary gear? If you do not have, then you need to think of how you're going to rent the gear, where you're going to rent the gear from. So the first thing is you have to make calls, okay, to the people where you rent the gear from. Find out if that gear is available. Now, this is a mistake that so many people make. You find out the date of the function, and then you're waiting until maybe 2 weeks to the wedding or to the introduction, and that's when you're contacting the renting company, because maybe you're thinking these guys always have the gear, and you'll be disappointed. You'll be utterly disappointed. So again, maybe relating to the communication bit, I think the other person we should add on to the communication bit should be the gear rental. Yeah, the gear rental person. You have to add them into that chain. So renting gear, it can be quite daunting sometimes, especially if maybe you're looking for a particular brand and particular model of a camera and it's not available. Yeah, I know of people who only use, let's say someone only uses the 6D Mark II, or someone only uses the Canon R6, or someone only uses the 5D Mark IV. So these are some of the challenges you can face if you, let's say, shoot only a particular model, if you do not book early. Yeah, so let's just talk about like booking. So on your wedding day, you're going to need to rent gear. Right now, for me, I'm based here in Kampala, and I would say there's quite a number of people right now in Kampala who rent out gear. And you just need to reach out early enough and get to know what gear is available and what your preference is. Now, the number one tip I usually give for people, if you're renting gear, make sure you test out everything really well. Situations happen sometimes where you book gear, let's say online, and then you send a messenger to pick that gear for you. Of course, you send them your ID. There's a gentleman that I've been renting gear from for some time, and for them, they of course they will take your national ID, and of course you pay the money for the gear. But then the problem is, if you do not go yourself, you don't get to test the gear to be sure of the functionality, and then you will struggle. Yeah. Yes, Linus, you're welcome. Welcome to the classroom. I'm glad to have you. Yeah. So, yeah. If you do not test out this gear before signing out, yeah, from the rental shop, you get there to the function. This happened to me, by the way. I have to admit, this is a true story. One day, I was doing an event in Kabiramaido. Yeah, that's really far, like part of sort of northern Uganda, northeast, something like that. I hadn't really actually tested, because this this gear, I got the gear the previous night. I didn't really have time to test, yeah. And then we traveled, and in fact, the only thing I really checked for me was, the battery is there, okay. I was in some kind of rush. So we get to Kaberamaido the morning of the function, and this lens had an issue, you know. And then I had to improvise with the other lenses. It was a bit sad because I had, of course, paid money for it. So I informed the rental person, and they said, oh, that lens sometimes gets an issue, but I didn't have the time to find that out early enough. And by the way, this can even be sometimes dangerous for you, because if you do not check that gear prior, you might be falsely accused. Yeah, so you stand a chance of being falsely accused by the rental company that, you know what, we gave you this gear, it was in perfect condition, and now it has glitches, it has issues, so you're going to pay for the damages. Because most of the time when you're renting, there are those kind of clauses, if this happens, what, you pay the damages and all that. So you have to be very, very careful. So I don't want to dwell much on that, but I hope you guys are picking something from it. So every time you have to rent gear, even if it's from a friend, please make sure you test that gear in their presence. Maybe I need to mention some of the things you need to test for, which for me I find very important, is the sharpness of the lens. Yeah, if you're, let's say, renting, the most commonly rented lenses here in Kampala are the 70-200, that long white lens. It's one of the most rented lenses in Kampala. Yes, because it's an amazing lens, the bokeh, it's a telephoto, you can, reach your composition or your subject from a distance. It's a beautiful lens, but if you do not test it prior, if you don't test it well for its sharpness, you likely, and again guys, I'm telling you these things out of experience. Again, there's a day I took out a lens. I didn't again have time. I don't know why we usually make ourselves so much, like rushing. Sometimes it could even be the other person rushing you, like, hey, I need to go, Vichy, this lens is good, everyone is using it, that kind of quick talk, and you brush it off. So I get to the wedding, and I realized much later during post-production that these pictures were a little bit soft. Soft, we mean like out of focus. These pictures were not like tack sharp, and it pained me so much because I rented the lens specifically to do those beautiful photos, and here we are, and the photos are not really sharp. Guys, that can be painful. So I don't know whether anyone has an experience in that regard, but it can be such a painful thing. So test for sharpness. That is a no-brainer. That one is no debate. Test for sharpness. The other thing you're going to test for are the buttons on this camera functioning as good as they should be. For example, the most common buttons used on a camera include the shutter release button, the one you press to catch. You need to try and press to see that it doesn't lock, it doesn't get stuck, things like that. It can, have press well. You need to check the dials, the ISO dial for the mirrorless cameras. Now, like the R6, there's a dial that is, does just the ISO, the aperture dial, and the shutter speed dial. You need to check all those very well and be sure that, okay, they are moving well. And maybe the other final tip that I usually like to give is, you see, many people rent this gear. Sometimes someone had a function and the, 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 the previous day, and then they return that camera to the gear, to the rental company, and then for you, you come to pick that camera. Sometimes they've set that camera to a certain settings which were favoring that person. Now here you come, you get the camera. Even sometimes we get these cameras on the same day, the same wedding day, yeah. And then you're shooting things and they're not coming out, and you're wondering, what's wrong? You realize later that this man tampered with the settings. They pulled things to the extreme. Let's say they pulled the contrast too much, or they went into the color, the color shift, the white balance shift, and they shifted maybe too much green, and you're shooting things you're not understanding. So the tip here is, every time you get a camera, a rental, do a factory reset. Just go to the menu and dial, find the factory reset, and reset that camera to factory. That will save your life. Trust me. If you must do any settings, do settings from a clean sheet. I hope that is clear. Ako katipu na kaiga. The hard way. Yeah. So I think renting, that one is I would like to conclude on that matter. If you have any questions, please feel free to send those questions in regarding that matter. But I would like to go to the next part. So the wedding, the day before the wedding is such a crucial day, yeah, and we are here talking about gear. So the day before the wedding is such a crucial day because it's like the wedding eve. It shouldn't be a time for you, the photographer, to be in panic. So my recommendation is, during the day, yeah, during the wedding eve being the day before the wedding, in the morning hours, I have a question from Linus Tech Select. I'm going to be responding to that question as well. Okay. Yes, and anyway, maybe I can just respond to it right away. So he's asking about which lens is better to rent, the 7-200 or the 24-105. That's an interesting question, but I think there it should depend on what you have in your arsenal. Like, what do you have in your camera bag? For me, if I have a team of photographers and videographers, we need to know which lenses do we have first of all, which lenses don't we have. So if I were to prioritize, I would say the 24-105 is the most versatile lens. You find yourself using it maybe 70% of the time. But then if you are many, then the 7-200 can also become an essential, because then you want to have multiple, angles. But if I had to choose between one of those lenses, I would go with the 24-105. Yeah. If I'm going to do like photos, even if it's a simple party, I would take the 24-105 because I find it to be more versatile. It will give me pretty much everything, wide and tight. The 7-200 has its own unique look as well, and the low aperture It's just that it's not as versatile, especially if you're in smaller spaces. So, but for a typical wedding day, it's a key lens to have, especially if you have a team of, let's say, four members. At least one of you should have that lens on. If I'm a photographer, if I'm one photographer on a wedding day, I'm definitely going to rent the 7200 alongside my 24105. So the 24105 should be like the firstborn. You understand? I think I respond well to that. The 24105 should be your firstborn, and then the secondborn should be the 7200. Yeah. Okay, so let's proceed. So you must double check. If the wedding is tomorrow, you must double check that you have batteries. In fact, you guys, for me, I usually have my list, my checklist for the gear that we are using. So cameras, camera bags, memory cards, batteries, chargers, lights and their chargers or their cables, extensions. Yeah, always try to have this list and share it with your colleagues and let them double check. Double checking will save you so much stress and time wasting. So always ensure to do that. So that is for the bit of gear. I feel like if you've been following from the start, we talked about communication with your client and also your team to prepare them for the big day. After that, we looked at gear. Gear involves you renting if you are renting gear. If you do not rent gear and you already have your own gear, you've been investing and everything, that's amazing. All you need to do is now just double check to be sure that you have everything that you need. Yeah, double checking your batteries and everything. Have a list of all the items that you're going to need for that wedding day. Soft boxes, tripods, microphones, recorders, memory cards, yeah, and all that. For me, I usually have a list that I will check, tick this. Okay, this I have it. This I have it. Yeah. Of course, there are some situations which may be unavoidable, but you have to try and minimize all those as much as you can. So I don't know if you guys can hear me well. Please let me know in case you're losing signal or you're not getting me clearly. Yes. Right. So let's proceed. Now, here we come to the actual wedding day. The wedding day, and this is quite interesting. So the actual wedding day, guys. Actual wedding day. If you're not careful, you may not eat on a wedding day. Yeah. I like to share some of the experiences that I've had. There's a wedding day where we didn't eat, and I need to warn you guys. Of course, this was also a learning thing for me. Do you know when your expectations are maybe high or let's just say and you'll understand why I'm talking about this bit of eating. A wedding day can run so busy that you may not think about food, and then maybe much later it hits you that, look, you've not eaten anything. So one of the things that I like to consider on a wedding day is a meal. Yeah, in fact, sometimes with my team we talk about these things. I usually tell my colleagues, you know what, leave home while you've eaten something. But even so, we always ensure that when we meet in the morning, I ask these guys, okay, have you had breakfast? Have you eaten something? But then we ensure that we have something prepared, or we are going to eat something along the way. whether it's a Rolex or it's Katogo or it's, something to put in the stomach. Because when the wedding day begins, it can run non-stop. You guys, I'm telling you, the only time you get a breather maybe can be during the reception when it's food time. And sometimes if this is an afternoon wedding, you're going to have lunch maybe or dinner at around 6, 5. If you've not eaten anything since morning, you're going to die. Trust me. So let's talk about the wedding day, how it gets started. So the day should start with you praying. I don't know what you believe in, but for me, I'm a Christian and I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. So I believe that every day that has to begin, it needs to start for me with prayer and speaking into that day, that it's going to be a good day, and I pray for a blessing, I pray for protection. A lot can happen in a wedding day. You also pray for your bride. You pray for them that they will have that they won't give you headache. So some of us may take that lightly, but for me, I believe that certain things God fights for you. You don't fight everything. God can fight for you in some things. So I would start my day with prayer and dedicate the day into God's hands, and to set myself, to set my spirit, to set my mind. Yeah, that is something I would do, and I therefore recommend it to you out there. Secondly, of course, prepare. Make sure you're smartly dressed. These days, I want to give some credit to you photographers. You've improved your dressing, because man, those days photographers just, I don't know, you guys just wear anything, like damaged pants. I don't know, like some photographers, there are guys who still do those things. Like you just dress anyhow. You guys, your the way you look has a big part in the chemistry between you and the client. Trust me on that. If you do not know how to dress well, to smell good, to be clean, to be tidy, your hair needs to be well combed. Unless if you have dreadlocks, I mean you can. But if you have this kind of hair, please make sure it's neat, well kept. Yeah, you know those things. So yeah, and then make sure you coordinate with your team. Yeah, make sure you coordinate with your team. Time is one thing that I have to. I cannot not talk about. Yeah, time is very important. You guys, I am one of the best timekeepers. For me, I have to give myself credit. One of the best timekeepers when it comes to projects, to productions, to wedding days, to any work pretty much that I have. That's why when sometimes we are negotiating with clients, we use time as a factor. For me, I use time as a factor of pricing. Yeah, I think I've mentioned that in some of the other videos. But time is one of those factors which I consider very, very important. So it means on a wedding day, if they tell me church is this time, makeup will begin around this time, I make sure I'm there on time. I make sure I'm there prior, so that I'm not on pressure. Yeah? You see the way this broadcast started at exactly 6. In fact, I started this broadcast like 2 minutes to 6. Yeah? I made sure that, yeah, whoever joins me will find me there. But for those of you who are good timekeepers, yeah, prompt on time, guys, that's very, very important. So yeah, you coordinate with your team. Make sure if you have to pick them up, uh, most of the time, if you're going to rent a car, then you know where to pick who, so you can gather your team in one place, and then you can proceed to the venue. But please keep in mind, if you delay even 5 minutes, those 5 minutes can cost you a lot. I realize that on a wedding day, everything is running like very fast, and the way these time managers, these timekeepers, and events planners can sometimes want to rush the photographer. It's usually this person trying to manage the day for on behalf of the groom and the bride, and they are rushing you. They're like, you have 5 minutes, what, those things. So for me, the biggest lesson I've learned is you have to be prompt on time. Do not have so much time to waste. Yeah, a wedding day can run so fast to a point that if you're not prompt on time, you end up missing so much. You end up missing so many things. So my urge to you guys is try to always be prompt on time. I think I make that point clear. It will affect the mood of your client. Your client will hold you in high regard. Oh, Benjamin keeps time. Oh, Benjamin, you're early. Wow, that's amazing. Like, wouldn't you like to hear some of those comments? Simon and Linus and you guys, it would be amazing to hear those comments, that kind of feedback from your client when they are praising you on how you keep time, and how professional you are. In fact, some clients just use the word professional. The word professional covers so much, but when you keep time, they'll say, that guy is professional. You are professional, and that is what they are paying you for. So you guys, so the other thing that I have on me is a short list. A short list, please note that down. A short list is the to-do shots. Yeah, the to-do shots for the day. I'll give you a typical example. My short list has bridal detail, groom details. Bridal details can include things like earrings, jewelry, the shoes, the rings. These are things that are very crucial to how you start your wedding album or your wedding film. And this cuts across photography, filming. These are things you must shoot, take videos of, take photos of. So you need to have a short list. Yeah, a short list can have a number of things on it, but this basically guides you through the day on what you shouldn't miss. Yeah, some photographers are not creative enough. They are not as prompt. So it means if you have a short list, it's going to guide you so that you don't forget. Yeah. So I was telling you, for me, my short list on a wedding day, I think after this video, I'll be sharing. I'll attach it in the description. Yeah, I'll share a link so you guys can see. But a short list can include wedding detail, like I've told you. It can include. It depends on the location you are. If you're at a hotel, you want to have establishment shots, yeah, whether photos or video. Establishment shots include shots of the location, the hotel, the building, or the home where you are, because in the album someone will get to know, oh yeah, they are Sheraton, oh yeah, these guys are, I see, you understand. So you must have an establishing shot, have different angles, yeah, find the best representing If you're in a space that doesn't look so good, see how to play with it, that at least you have something that will work in the album. So yeah, I talked about bridal details. You need to have makeup shots. Yeah, I have that. Not just, you don't just wait for the person to be to for the makeup to be done and then you say, okay, now let's do photos. You must have shots of the makeup process. You understand the makeup process. Yeah, the before, the after, you understand that kind of thing. Check that whole process, you know. Of course, you don't have to be shooting throughout the entire makeup session, but you can see that, okay, the makeup person has begun, let me take some shots. The makeup person is midway, okay, let me take some shots, and the makeup person is finished. In fact, for me, I even make a fake makeup, whatever shot where the makeup is done and then we just want the bride to look like they're giving her final touch, and I take those shots as well. Those can be beautiful photos. Yeah, the short list goes on and on. It goes through the day. So you have that, the bridal cars. Do you know that you guys sometimes you forget about the bridal cars? Someone hires their Range Rovers, their Mercedes, their beautiful whatever, and then you can you imagine, you forget to take pictures and videos of those cars. Yeah. In fact, in my short list, I have photos with a car. Like, you know, let those people do a pose around their car and you do something like that. So, yeah, I don't want to go through the entire short list, but you understand where I'm coming from. Make a short list. Try to have all the shots as much as you can, because you see, you're the creative director, you are the director, basically you are the director of photography, you understand. Just like in the movies, your job is to have all these short lists, all these you know, the list of all the shots, and you direct how you want them to look. Yeah, you improvise. So don't be shy to look at your short list during the wedding day, because some of you might think, you know what, I'm just going to think everything off head, and trust me, you will go wrong. It's okay for you to do this short and then just go check on your short list and then come do the other short, like that. As long as you're prompt on time and you're not taking so much of your time, it can be a good thing for you. Yes. So you guys, now the other thing is, throughout the day, you're working with a team. Ensure that this communication is well flowing. You realize those situations where you're at a gig and people are shouting, "Hey man, give me a battery!" Like, "Hey, wait, take a core battery. Hey, Jida." Man, you guys, those things are not good. Yeah? Make sure your communication is nice and swift. If you must emphasize on an issue, you know, call your person. If you have an assistant is such an important person on the team. Some of you like to go do gigs out of, let me go in Chikube, with just, you go on a gig, just the two of you, one person doing photos, the other video, you're the one carrying the lights, you're the one doing everything, you're the one charging the batteries, you're the one monitoring the audio. Man, that is not good. You end up being stressed and you're doing everything alone. I think you can struggle so much. So if you have an assistant, they will help you out with passing communication to your other team members. If you have enough money, then maybe you can hire these walkie-talkies where you communicate using radio signals, and you say, you know what, I need you to turn to this angle over, I need you to turn that camera 180 degrees over, give me a tight shot there, over, those kind of things. Yeah, but besides that, the communication must be good. You must always look at each other as you're shooting, you know. Yes. So the wedding day can be such a long day, to be honest, and it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of mood, a lot of but you must keep positive throughout, you guys. There are so many situations that can be a test to you. I must speak out of experience. There are situations which can, like heavy rain. Sometime I was at an introduction, it rained heavily. The bride's mood, like people were a bit disrupted and everything. Those kind of situations can occur, but they shouldn't put you off. You need to stay in the right mindset. You need to keep in the right mindset. You need to, to stay motivated, because at the end of the day, you want to give that client the best service. Yeah. Okay. Simon is asking me to talk about pricing. Okay. Yeah, the bit of pricing for weddings really varies. Everyone has their own packages, and I think there's a conversation we had sometime on a WhatsApp conference call with other photographers, and people were sharing some experiences. But personally, I think you need to price so that you make a profit, first of all, onto your service. Do not price and then by the end of the day you're balancing your books and you've not made any profit, or you've made very little profit. For me, a general rule of thumb should be, I need to cover my gear, the fuel and everything. That is the production cost, yeah. And then you must also include labor of you, whether you're the owner of the company, or pay yourself something that you feel, okay, this is worthy of me, and also add a profit to the company. Does that make sense? Let me just say that again. So on a wedding day, you're using gear. On a wedding day, you're paying labor to your team and yourself. There's also post-production. Yeah, post-production, like the editing, and also printing of those things, the photo books and stuff. So that is like, I will term it as production costs. Yeah. So the gear, make sure you have put the money for the gear. For example, you want to get the 5D Mark IV or the 6D, whatever. Budget for that, write down how much you're spending on that, and then on top of that, add on the labor. The labor, if you're working with a videographer, how much do they charge? Everyone has their pricing, but here in Kampala, people can charge 100K, 150, 200, 250, 300, and so on. So you need to know, okay, my videographer, how much am I paying them? You write that down. That is the labor for the day. Yeah. You must add it to that, and then you add on the post-production. How much does it cost you to print the photo book, the boards, and things like that? So after you've added all that, by the way, don't forget to pay yourself. Some of you guys think that because you're the owner of the company, or you are the one who has sourced the team that is doing the job, therefore you're just taking the other maybe profit as your payment. No, 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 that's a big mistake. If you have a vision for your company and for your business, then you must understand that the business must make a profit as a business. By the way, I forgot, you need to also include taxes. Taxes. Very few guys are paying taxes in our business. Though we pay them indirectly, but yeah, you must include like taxes into your calculations. So you make sure you pay yourself labor, and then after that add a profit. So maybe just to give you a good scale, profit of 40%, 30 to 40% is good profit after you've also paid yourself. Do you understand? Yes. So let me give an example. If you are charging 1 million, yeah, assuming you're charging 1 million, it means 400,000 is the profit, should be the profit after you have also paid yourself. Do you understand? So it means all these other costs, production costs, should fall within maybe 40%, which is 400,000. Maybe the 20% can be your payment, and then the 40% is the profit. Of course, if you own the company, that profit goes to the company, and that company includes you as a stakeholder. But that profit is what will help you to grow the company, like to buy new gear, to be able to rent the space where you work, and all other things you might want to invest in the company. You understand? So that is what I can say about pricing. So if you use that scale of 40% profit, for me that is reasonable, but it depends. Everyone has their own scale. Some people make 50% profit. Yeah, 50% profit. It depends. Others, it's 60%. It really depends. So you must learn these things along the way. But the most important thing is you must make some profit. Don't make a loss, and make substantial profit so that you can grow your business or your company as well. I think I answered you well. There's someone else who asked a question. This is WorkTube. WorkTube, I don't know if you're still on, but he asked about battery backup in Canon R8. Personally, I use the Canon R8. It's my main camera for photography and all. So the R8 has these small LPE17 batteries. So I just had to buy many of them. I think I have like 5 batteries. Yes. So by the time all those batteries run out, at least one battery has charged. So on a typical wedding day, I make sure I carry 2 chargers of the R8, and then so that I can use those batteries while the others are charging. It's that kind of thing. If I'm not going to charge any batteries, it means I will need to buy like 10 batteries to have like 10 of those batteries. The other option, you can get a battery grip. I don't have a battery grip for me. Maybe I'll invest in it later, but also the battery grip makes the camera now heavy. Yet I can prefer to have a lighter camera on me. But the battery grip will extend your battery life substantially. Yes, so yeah, I just buy extra batteries and that's how I deal with it. On a wedding day, I'll make sure I have chargers. On these simple shoots, I just have to have my batteries charged and I'll be good. They will take me through the day. Um, yeah, through the shoot if it's not like too long. Yeah. So you guys, I feel like we have exhausted this. So a wedding day will be wonderful for you if you try to follow some of these things. You will not struggle much to get through a wedding day. Just a recap: we talked about communication with your team and the client. Make sure that communication is solid. Secondly, gear. Gear involves you renting the gear. Yeah, make sure you have good communication between the rental company. Make sure you book on time and also test that gear very well prior so that you're sure you're taking the correct gear and it's functioning to the best. And also to double check, have a list. We said have a list of the items that you're going to use, the camera gear, the lights and everything, the memory cards. Have a list of those and always double check and tick to see that, you know, I have this, I have that, I have that, so that you don't get shocked. You might get travel to do a destination wedding somewhere on an island and you realize you left a memory card. That can be the worst. So always double check. And then yeah, the third bit we were talking about the actual wedding day. Start with a prayer, dedicate the day, and have a short list. Short list includes all the things you want to photograph through the day, or things you want to record you know, through the day. Make sure you have your short list in check. Yes, so that you have those amazing, wonderful shots. Yeah, the other thing is dress code, hygiene. As a photographer, you must smell good, look good, speak well, you know, act professional, be professional. Yeah, hygiene, guys. Hygiene, by the way, is a real thing. If you don't smell good, it's not a good situation for you. Make sure you're clean and you're well kept and everything. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I would like to just take maybe two more questions if there's any questions before we end this broadcast. But also just to remind you guys, we want to be having these broadcasts every week, or every 2 weeks. Yeah, the goal is every 2 weeks we'll be having this broadcast, but it will depend on on your feedback and everything. We'll see whether we can have them every other week. But yeah, I've made some broadcasts before. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel, and if you've liked this video, yeah, give it a like if you've liked it. Yeah, but I also have other videos on this channel that will help you to grow in your photography business. And yeah, so I just want to take two more questions if there's any, and then we can move on with our lives, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. So yeah, but also let me send my shouts out to Simon Magembe. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have learned something. Linus Tech Select, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have learned something. Who else do we have here? Work Tube, thank you so much for tuning in. And also Danny, at Crazy World. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you guys. It's not so easy with these live broadcasts, so I must be grateful to you for tuning in and for spending your precious time to learn something here on the channel. Well, I guess we are not getting any more questions. I just want to thank you once again. So I will be seeing you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in the comment section. Even if you're watching this video after the live broadcast, I will still be responding to your questions. Please feel free to ask. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. I wish you all the best in your shooting, in your business, and yeah, everything. God bless you, and bye.